Hey everybody, this is Jason from jasonryananimation.com and welcome to this new release of DigiCel FlipBook 6. This is going to be a quick start guide on how to get animating fast. So the very first thing that we're going to do is create a new scene to animate with. So let's go ahead and create a new shot. So right here, when it opens up, we've got a new scene. We've got screen size. You've got 320 by 240 or standard, which is 640 by 480. But you can also choose 720 by 540 or different versions or a custom size. So the playback speeds, I usually leave at frame rate 24, but you can change this to whatever frame rate you like, whether it's 25 or 30, whatever frame rate you want. The preview export quality, I usually leave at preview broadcast, and the preview quality versus speed is really to do with RAM and to get the best value for your money. I usually just going to leave it at preview 1 best, which is absolutely fine. Then go ahead and hit OK. So one of the first differences that we're going to see in this new version of DigiCel software is options, settings. And right here we've got this graphics tablet mode. Okay, now this is if you've got a Cintiq or a tablet PC or your Wacom tablet, and we've got a fine-tuning pressure sensitivity right here. So I'm going to leave my maximum pressure at 200. I think it comes in defaulted at 50, but 200 gives you a broader range of sensitivity for your line quality. So I like to have the simple cursors turned on, which turns off the pencil icon and just has a little crosshair cursor. Okay, so that's where we're going to do with our settings. So when you open up FlipBook for the first time, it's actually set by default to color mode, which basically means you can fill and trace and paint and eyedropper, use the ink eyedropper there. But for rough animation we want to set it to pencil mode, and by clicking on this paint palette icon right here, it changes it to pencil mode, which kind of disables all these unusable icons that you don't really need for animation. So we're just going to use the pencil and the eraser and the select tool. Okay, so let's click open the pencil, and it's set to 2, which is sort of like a small size. Okay, which we're kind of like by default you're in freehand mode, which you know you can draw some cool lines and stuff like that. And then you've got line mode right here, and you've got rectangle mode, which allows you to draw rectangles. Sort of handy tools for doing simple backgrounds. The ellipse tool, if you're going to do like a really simple sort of bouncing ball kind of exercise. Curve tool, which if you select like a couple of points right here, you can actually do some kind of neat little lines like that. And a smart tool, which is sort of like freehand, but it sort of cleans up the line just a little bit, sort of closes up some of the gaps. Okay, so let's leave it in free mode for now, and if you want to make it bigger, you just click on this big circle right here or right here, and that will create like a big line. And if you want to make it small, like around 3 or something like that, which is kind of where I leave it at, it's sort of like a nice size for drawing. So let's go ahead and start animating. Okay, so I'm ready to start animating in FlipBook, but the first thing I want to do is actually draw a simple background. So let's go ahead and draw just a simple grid, and just something nice and simple. Now you guys can spend a lot more time on your backgrounds, make them just how you want them, but this is just a quick start guide. So okay, so there's my background. So I'm loving this, and I want it to stay in the X sheet. I want this to be an actual frame. So all I have to do is double click in frame 1, and there it is. You can see a ghosted image of your little grid right there. Now if those who want to do straight ahead animation in the light version or any other version, all you have to do is hit F7, and this will copy that background into the next frame. Now for those who want to do pose to pose animation, all you have to do is click on any of these frames and go to File, Export, Export Stills, start frame 1, end frame 1 of our background. That's all we need. Composite the frame, maintain aspect ratio and scale BG. It's going to be the same size as the actual FlipBook shot that you set up automatically. And then BMP file format, and then we're just going to call this Flip BG, something like that, FlipBook BG, and then hit OK. BMPs do not support alpha channel, which is absolutely perfect. We don't want it to be. We want this to be our background, and then you hit yes. Just going to save it right here in my desktop so I can import it in. So now I just click on one frame, my frame 1 of my BG, okay, and then go to File, Import, Import Stills, and then find that. So that was called Flip BG or 1. There's my grid, import, and done. Okay, so there's my BG right there. So all I need to do now is go ahead and select these and delete them, and that was just basically click once and drag, and then edit, delete. Okay, so let's go ahead and just animate a very quick bouncing ball. Okay, so let's go ahead and start drawing our very first frame. Alright, there's our first frame, and then you can use your arrow keys to actually go to the next frame. Okay, so once you've actually drawn in this frame, if you go to the next frame, it'll actually appear right here, so you know that that drawing is actually set. So right here you've got the lightbox, and right here the little arrow here is your lightbox settings. So let's click on that. Now here you've got drawing, you've got in-betweening, and animate straight ahead. Well, we're animating right now, we're not in-betweening. So I'm just going to click on animate straight ahead, and I want my number of drawings so I can see previous drawings is number 5. You can change this to whatever you want, like frame 1 to 5. And I'm going to leave my minimum density at 20 and maximum density at 25. Hit apply and OK. And now I can see a ghosted image of my bouncing ball behind there. Okay, so let's just go ahead and start keying this out. So I'm going to start off with that, and then I'm going to draw the actual squash frame. Okay, I'm going to flip both of those by hitting the arrow keys. Now you can also flip keys only as well by hitting F4 and F5. That will flip your keys too. And then I want to copy this pose, because this is going to be a cycle. We're going to copy this pose to frame 3. Okay, so I'm just going to select on that, edit, copy, and then go to frame 3 using my arrow keys and hit edit, paste. So now I'm flipping those 3. Okay, so to put a rough timing on this, now I'm not sure how fast or how slow this bouncing ball is going to be, but I just want to put a rough timing of, let's put this one on for 6 frames. So just select on it, okay, and then put in how many frames I actually want. So I'm just going to say 6. Hit 6, and then I see it jumps right down to here. So it added 6 frames to that, which basically holds that frame for 6 frames. And the next one is selected as blue. So now I can put in whatever number I want this one to be in. So I just want that one to be on 2 frames, because that's just my squash frame. Frame 9, we're probably going to have that down as frame 16 or something like that, okay? But let's just leave it right there for now. So now I actually want to start in-betweening, okay? So there are my key poses for my bouncing ball. So now I actually want to click on frame 6 or frame 5 and go to my lightbox options right here. I'm going to go to in-betweening and you just hit previous and next. So you can actually view 2 previous drawings and 2 next drawings, but for now I just want to hit 1 previous and 1 next while this is the image in between. Hit apply and OK. So now I can actually see the pose before it and the pose after it, and we're on frame 5. So let's go ahead and draw our stretch frame on the way down, something like that. Okay, let's flip it, F4 and F5, which basically jumps or flips from our keys. Okay, this is the one being displayed right now. Now this one, now this one. So if I use the arrow keys, it'll do the in-betweens too, which is not so handy once you've actually started to get your timing worked out. So let's go ahead, F4 and F5 will just flip those particular keys.